Hi, hello. Welcome to another episode of Isaiah's Newsstand. It's your host, Isaiah Edwards. The date is December the 17th, 2022. Hopefully, this podcast episode finds you well, good spirits, high hopes, right? Yay, 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 yay. Not too much to report in foods and bevies. Nothing special, nothing crazy. Also, not much going on between this episode and last, so we can just get into the news. We can just zoom right on in. The first thing I got, sadly, some sad news, but I mean, hopefully, some potential justice. We'll see. Um, I got it from, what is it, the Associated Press. Also, there is another article that the Associated Press did on the 21st that, coincides with this article, and I really feel like it helps. So we'll just read both titles off. Louisiana officers charged in black motorist deadly arrest. And then, let's see, I'm scared. AP obtains video of deadly arrest of black man. Now, Ronald Greene was pulled over for a unspecified traffic violation. He was driving, I think at the time they had him recorded at like 115, and this is like during the chase. Um, but I believe he was rammed. There was an accident that happened, so he's rammed. The cops pull up on him, and there is about six officers, I believe, and I want to kind of get their names right. Corey Harpin. Then there is Christopher Christopher Harpin. Then there is also Trooper Dakota DeMoss, Lieutenant John Clary, and then let's see, Captain John Peters, and then also Chris Hollingsworth. These guys were all involved in various ways. Also, I believe it is DeMoss's body camera that captured the most footage of the arrest. But I mean, in my opinion, it is barbaric. It's barbaric in the scale of what they're going to call the resistance, and not to mention there was one of the officers who had blown up what had happened, who had inflated Greene's resistance and said like this all was worth it, more or less. They use the term in the other article that the AP has in the I'm Scared one, awful but lawful, and shit makes me fucking nauseous. Like, people have these kind of notions that if you break any law, no matter what it is, whatever happens in that pursuit, you deserve it. You deserve to get beaten to death. You get bloodied, whatever. It's always this fucking logic. I mean, it was applied even to Brittany Griner, where it's like, yeah, I mean, yeah, that's crazy that she's gonna be spending like 9 years in jail, but like she did bring weed. You can't bring weed around. That's fucked up, man. Like, it's draconian, the logic in that kind of thought processes. But I mean, naturally, these cops are running on this logic, and you can kind of feel this intensity in the video. They're dragging him, they're beating him senseless. At some point, he literally, he says, "I'm scared." He apologizes to the officers. He's literally saying, "I'm sorry." He calls them brother at some point because he's trying to appeal to their humanity, and they're just not having it. And they beat him literally bloody. They then have him cuffed. They drag him. At that point, he's not resisting doing anything. They drag him by the ankles. I think at one point, one of the officers goes, "Yeah, shit hurts, don't it?" I mean, and then at another point, they're like, "Oh man, I hope this guy doesn't have fucking AIDS, or I hope because he got all his blood on him." And it's disgusting. Um, there's a quote from Chris Hollingsworth: "I beat the ever living fuck out of him." Now Hollingsworth, who I think was the one who was seen as the most culpable, he actually died in 2020 in a single vehicle high speed crash. So I don't know if like that's pursuit or whatever, but so but that was after he had found out he was going to be informed. So I guess that wasn't in pursuit of justice or duty there. I think he just was mauling and then died. I don't fucking know. Fuck him. Let's see. But the other 5 have been charged. The thing that's the most, I think, fucked up. Well, no, I mean, obviously, the cops doing this, and we know, like, the charges aren't even that deep. We're talking, like, malfeasance and criminal negligence. Like, come on. Negligent homicide and 10 counts of malfeasance in office. Or, that might just be for the one person. My bad. Let's see. Thursday, they were charged with state crimes ranging from negligent homicide to malfeasance. And this is from 2019, May 10th, 2019. We are now 2022, and it just goes to show the level of suppression that these officers used in-house. Also, this goes up to the top. Even the governor was involved. They got to see this footage and then didn't do anything about it. They didn't make any actions, didn't make any movement to get out ahead of the shit and actually do something right. And that's obviously fucked up. I mean, I want to say, and the governor who's involved is John Bell Edwards. I do want to try to get some of these names out here, so it's like, you know, we're actually discussing this shit. I think the best we really can do is just hold, quote unquote, these people accountable in public. You know what I mean? Just like make sure that people know who they are and what they've done. But let's see. A quote from Mona Hardin: "We're all excited for the indictments, but are they actually going to pay for it?" Which is a good question. And you know, they, like she says in another quote, that we just wanted to stick. So just something would be better than fucking nothing. But the fact that these officers literally were like pressing down on the people investigating them, saying like, yo, like, don't file it this way. We're pretty sure that he died from actually the car crash impact or whatever. This has nothing to do with us beating him up. It's like, dude, no. Like, the bits of footage that we fucking have are damning against you guys. Like, what the fuck? So it's crazy that it took literally a whole other fucking article investigation to, like, actually, like, put these motherfuckers to light. And still, here we are from 2019 to 2020 fucking 2. So really sad, really fucking shitty. But hopefully we get some justice there. And I can keep you posted. From NPR, climate. The Keystone Pipeline leaked in Kansas. What makes this spill so bad? And now, for starters, this is not exactly the same Keystone that is usually often referred to. And I'm not talking about Keystone Light. But essentially, it is a Keystone Pipeline that is operated, I guess, by TC Energy, or used to be TransCanada. But the XL Pipeline was a canceled project and is not related at all. So that's a whole other thing. But this is a pipeline that runs from Canada to Oklahoma, I believe. And let's see. TC Energy announced its Keystone Pipeline leaked into Mill Creek in Washington County, Kansas. Nearly 600,000 gallons of oil spilled into the waterway, as well as the land surrounding it. And that's not good. Obviously, whenever you kind of hear about these kind of leaks, spills, what have you, you know that there's a lot of environmental damage at play. The fact that this is going to take a very long time is also a factor. It's going to be very expensive to fix and clean up all this stuff. As well as, can we fix all of it? You know, is always a question, you know. Some of the damage is irreparable. But what is known is the type of oil that is being transported through the pipeline. Tar sands oil, also called diluted bitumen. So they say this is like almost like a peanut butter like consistency quality, and it can be really devastating because once it hits, you kind of have a very short window to maximize your cleanup before, if it's in the water, it's only going to sink and then get even worse. And then on land, in the soil, it'll seep into the soil and be even harder to get out and extract. So, you know, that's no good. It's saying that this is going to take years. That doesn't sound great. So, you know, not too much good news to really pull out of this story. It is good that they are getting on it. But I mean, I don't know. I hate to kind of like go on a tangent and make this something else and talk about other things or politicize it, if you will. But these are the reasons why, like, having more and more pipelines and increasing our oil usage and dependency, like, I don't think these are good things, because when you have these kind of leaks, and that's the thing too, the 600,000 number, it could easily be more. That's just an intro number. That's just like on the scene first, more or less guess estimate. So, and not to mention too that this isn't the first time or the second or the third. Like, this has happened at least 22 times, I think. Let's see, they have this in the article. 22 accidents from 2010 to 2020. Now, granted, it's less than 50 barrels of oil, and were contained on operator-controlled property, such as pump stations. So, some are minor, not as major as this, of course, but still, you have incidents that this could happen on, and increasing the potential of it is never a good thing. So, it's just something to be mindful about. Like, yes, when times get tough, when we have these world political situations, and the next thing you know, we don't have oil like we used to, and the prices are going up, that doesn't mean that, like, oh, we should have we should open all the oil. We should make this pipeline. Like, I don't know. I'm anti that. Here at Isaiah's Newsstand, we're not really pro those thoughts and, logic runs. But hey, we'll see. We're not the big shots. We don't call the things. We don't call the things and the stuff. Let's see. We're halfway, and I'm gonna take my break a little early. Yep, that's right. I'm breaking my own rules. There are no rules at Isaiah's. Well, there are some rules. There's soft rules at Isaiah's Newsstand. I don't really, say them out loud all the time, but there are rules. They're unspoken. All right. All right. The next one I got from CNN. U.S. scientists reach long-awaited nuclear fusion breakthrough, source says. For the first time ever, U.S. scientists at the National Ignition Facility at the Lawrence Livermore National Laboratory in California successfully produced a nuclear fusion reaction, resulting in a net energy gain. A source familiar with the project confirmed to CNN. So, try to give you a little bit of a rundown here, because I am not smart. Essentially, the kind of nuclear fusion, what am I even getting to? Like, we all know what nuclear fusion is, and what types. More or less, we are making things like magnets, or there are other ways to do it too. But essentially, you're like making massive amounts of heat with this nuclear fission and then fusion, whatever. And we've been able to do this before, but we've never been able to do it so that there's actually a net gain of energy that we can use. So this is good news in that regard, that we are finally able to say, oh my gosh, we are now able to use these magnets and generate like kind of heat. Oh yeah, it's magnets and lasers. And by using these kind of tools and methods, we are now able to like extract heat, and that heat can power things. And that's supposed to be super cool and super neat. The problem is the amount of energy that they're able to generate now is like about, like, I think 10 gallons of water. Like, they can boil 10 gallons of water right now with all this shit. And if you look at some of the hardware they're using, I'm like, this is like some fucking Star Trek, like, Deep Space shit. I don't know. It's really scientific looking. It definitely, you need to be doing more than boiling a couple of jugs of water for all this shit to make it worthwhile. But I think the idea is that these are steps in the right direction, and you kind of show this kind of stuff off because you're saying, hey, look, you're funding, from the government, whatever, it's bearing fruit. And if we keep this up, we're going to be able to do things like power cities and things of that nature. Now, I think some of the concern I've kind of been hearing outside of the article, just kind of doing my own research, listening and stuff like that, is that, like I said, right now we're just boiling a little bit of water. Like, at best, this isn't doing much. what are we going to be doing this in like the kind of medium term? You know, maybe once it starts really rolling and getting off the ground. And I think the fear is weapons. You know, is military bullshit. Um, which would be a fucking shame if that's the case and that happens. You know, we'd like to use this shit as something that is like a fuel source that gets rid of like fossil fuels, but you know, people don't want to get through all that fucking entanglement. We'd much rather just blow other shit up. But I mean, time will tell. We'll see. And when that time comes, I'm hopefully going to be there to talk about it. Let's see. So we're heating things up in one spot, and sadly, unfortunately, cooling things off in a really wet, damp way in another. That was a weird segue, and but I'm not going to apologize for it. CBS News: huge saltwater aquarium bursts in Berlin, forcing forcing hotel evacuation. But yeah, this aquarium is really cool looking. It's really a shame that it broke. It is called the Aqua-Dom. Essentially, it was sitting in this hotel, and literally, you could actually there was an elevator that would take you, you know, up through the hotel, and it was like an open, like how to describe it, open windowed elevator, so you could like as you're going up, you could see all this you know, saltwater life. Is very cool installation. It had 265,000 gallons of water and 1,500 fish in it. And it broke early morning on Friday, and all the fish, all the water just spilled out. Luckily, I think a lot of it spilled out onto the streets and into the gutters, but sadly, all the fish died. They weren't able to save any of the fish. So that's an RIP. That's a damn shame. But let's see. I mean, there's not too much to report on it. I would definitely suggest go looking up the photos, because one, the aquarium is beautiful, and two, like, it's just crazy, the shots, like, it's just the spill out is crazy. It almost looks like a Titanic scene. Only 2 people were injured though, you know, nothing other than that, nothing super serious, so that's good. But yeah, RP those fish. That's a damn shame. But yeah, we got one more thing to go, so I'm gonna back to back, and then we'll get into it. Get real limber. Okay. Now, this is a little bit of soft news. You know, nothing major. I know I could have covered this on the Patreon, but hey, sometimes you could say it's a slow week, or sometimes I'm just kind of in the mood. Plus, it's an update, so, you know, it's kind of one of those things. But from Good Morning America: Prince William's godmother meets with woman who accused her of racism at Buckingham Palace. So, you know, for the avid listeners, for the newsies out there, y'all already know what I'm getting into pretty much. This is an update on the Lady Susan Hussey, what an amazing name, and Nagazi Fulani. The situation that happened, you know, with them, and more or less where you from. Like, no, where are you from really, actually? Because you're definitely not from here. You're not from Sister Space or what. Like, essentially, she was like, where's your black place from? Your ethnic home. Which I think she just, I guess in her lily white brain, it just didn't click. It didn't link up that's a bad move. Bad move, governor. And so yeah, I mean, hey, we will take an apology. That's more or less the long short here. We can read a quote. At this meeting filled with warmth and understanding, Lady Susan offered her sincerest apologies for the comments that were made in the distress they caused Miss Fulani. The statement said, this is like a statement from Buckingham Palace. Lady Susan has pledged to deepen her awareness of her sensitivities involved and is grateful for the opportunity to learn more about the issues in this area. Now, I'm not sure if I mentioned, or I'm pretty sure I did. she stepped down. Like, she immediately was like, okay, well, not even immediately. I think her and the queen escort, Charles's wife, I can't remember, the second best. But essentially, she stepped down, she stepped away. But I guess this was them doing a little bit more PR press control with an official apology. I haven't heard anything from Fulani outside of this, and I would be very interested. The statement kind of says that they kind of want everybody to chill after this. Also, I think Prince William, who wasn't directly involved, he actually was in Boston or something. He came back and issued a statement. And I'm kind of glad he was mentioned here. Obviously, just to kind of show the links and the ties, why this hussy person matters. But they've actually been making the rounds, the prince, because of Harry's and Meghan's documentary that took place on Netflix. So essentially, they did a whole Netflix documentary, and it's from their side telling their story about everything that was going on, with them being a part of the royal family, all of the pressure, all of the scrutiny, all of the scandal that was taking place, throughout. And a lot of tea was spilled. It was really funny because you guys know I listen to a lot of, news podcasts and stuff like that. I use that for a lot of reference and news gathering, whatever. And it's always funny. I talk about spin a lot. And even though the BBC is center right, if you will, right center, I generally find them to be very easy to listen to as opposed to some others. I like a lot of CNN. I like Start Here type shit. But then you have Fox News, and their version of right is too right for me. I can't fuck with that. I can do neutral NPR, what have you. But BBC is generally pretty chill. They don't actually show it too hard. I feel like you have to kind of know and look for it, hear for it. But I will say, when it comes to the royal shit, whenever it's the royals, that's when you see the most spin. And when it came down to hearing the week to week, them talking about the Netflix stuff, because it came out in 2 parts, they would have a guy come on and it's yeah, so it's more or less he's just talking his shit. He's just saying it. He's just really airing it out, and it really doesn't land. It really is not doing too much. They were playing it down as much as possible. I personally haven't really listened to it. I've only heard little snippets. But I don't know. It's definitely crazy how this whole fucking show is allowed to go on in terms of the royal family. I don't mean that as oh, they're so evil, but they're a figurehead for just stupid colonial bullshit. And if we're a modern society, it just doesn't make sense to me why they are still here. But hey, whatever. Pop off, kings and queens. do your thing, I guess. For the monarchy. Oh man. All right, I'm sorry. I'm spiraling out here. That's for listening to the episode. I appreciate you hanging out, listening to me. Hopefully it's been a good time, a fun vibe, and hopefully you learned a little something. Hopefully you've been edutained, if you will. That's the whole purpose here, right? And also to make money. I'm farming for money. No. I do have a Patreon, though. We can talk about it. Somebody mentioned that. Patreon.com/Isaiah News. $5, it gets you some bonus episodes. It gets you Discord access. Gets you, what else does it get you? A shout out on the podcast once a month. I shout out all my newsies, a little newsy roll call. And also you can shout out something you want on the podcast, whether it's your own thing that you're doing, or if you want me to talk about a specific news thing that's going on somewhere in the world, even if it's here in the backyard of good old Ohio. That's right, I'm from Ohio. We can talk about it. We can get local. We can get real specific. If you pay me. But anyway, free ways to hit me up. gmail.com/Isaiah News 1. Apparently the first one was taken. What the fuck? And I'm on all these socials, all the good ones, all the ones that are fun, not hacked. Oh, well, no, they're all pretty hacked at this point. But, the good ones, the fun ones, the spicy ones. Anyway, hopefully I see you soon for some more good news. I love ya. Bye-bye. Mwah.